Today I fucked up by ordering an irresistible fruity drink and thus becoming Father of the Year. When I order drinks, I usually keep it simple. Bourbon and amp. Amp. Coke, gin and amp. Amp. Tonic, 2 fingers of scotch, the occasional old-fashioned. That kind of thing. But on the date of this fuck-up, dear readers, I decided to mix it up. So I'm with my family at a nondescript casual restaurant chain. You know the type. They're all over suburbia. Decorated with kitschy local sports stuff, music memorabilia, antique ads, etc. and populated by perky wait staff. Who most likely secretly hate their jobs. That are encouraged to wear flair. The waitress asks for my drink order, and instead of going with one of my usual standbys, I feel whimsical and order something off the menu with the words, "Islands" in the name. When she brings our drinks, mine is an explosion of colors with a cornucopia of tropical fruit adorning the sides. It's super sweet, probably has enough sugar in it to last 2 days. But tasty, refreshing, and stronger than I would have initially expected. After drinking about a quarter of it, I go to hit the gentleman's room. Upon my return from the facilities, my 4-yo at the time daughter has this mischievous and somewhat conspiratorial look on her face. She leans in and says to me, almost in a whisper, "Daddy, I tried your pretty drink. It tasted a little weird, but I liked it." My eyebrows raise a little, but I know I shouldn't overreact, as she probably just had a tiny sip. I try to calmly, but assertively, explain that it's a grown-up drink, and not for kids. My wife, bless her heart, realizes what has happened and is a little less reserved in telling our daughter that kids shouldn't drink grown-up drinks or they'll get sick. Don't do it again, edit. She wasn't yelling. She was just using her serious mom voice when she said that. I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea or cast aspersions on my wife. Our daughter seems suitably chastened, and our food arrives. Then, she starts whining. I feel really sick now. My stomach hurts. Part of me thinks this is just psychosomatic, because we put the idea in her head of the inevitability of her getting ill. But then, #BLUUUUUUURRRRRGGGGHHH. Onomatopoeia mine. All over the table. And it was projectile. Expressionless. While my wife is dealing with the vomit-soaked table, I rush her to the bathroom, and then I'm suddenly reliving freshman year as I'm holding her hair back as she vomits some more into the toilet. All the while, I'm thinking, Parents of the Year. I wonder when CPS is coming, man facepalming light skin tone. Needless to say, we never returned to that restaurant. Too long did not read. I order a pretty but very alcoholic drink that proves irresistible to a toddler, and she throws up uncontrollably. Edit. Sweet fancy Moses. I so didn't expect this story to gain the attention that it did. Thank you to everyone who upvoted it and granted it awards. But seeing some of the comments, there are some clarifications that need to be made. This particular fuck-up occurred years ago. My daughter is now a very very smart, talented, hilarious, and very very grown-up drink-averse tween. I am almost 100% positive that my daughter threw up due to something other than the 1 or 2 sips of the drink she stole. It was just some weird, and almost perfectly TIFU timed coincidence that it occurred at that time. There's no blame to be placed on anyone for this. My wife is absolutely a wonderful and attentive mother, much more so than me, I dare say, and, as I said in the comments, we also had a 2-year-old to deal with, which understandably distracted her. I am significant other stealing the term, tastes like turpentine and suffering, for future use. Look on the bright side. When she's old enough to go to college, and her friend is holding her hair back, she can reminisce about the time Daddy used to do this for her. I'm willing to wager that your significant other telling your daughter it would make her sick made her sicker. Ha 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 ha, I'm dying here. Y'all didn't do anything wrong. Kids are fucking ninjas. Had a similar experience when my husband and I were dating and he was watching my oldest, who was 18 months. Husband got up to pee. Left his stout Guinness on the table. And it's time for a toddler to like the taste of beer. A lot. He drank the rest of the glass. Thankfully he didn't puke, but he sure as fuck slept like a rock all night while I kept an eye on him. Wait, your wife was at the table when this happened? How is this your F up? You sure it's not? Today my significant other fucked up. When I was 2 I got drunk on Jell-O shots lol. I ate like 4-6 of them and then walked to my parents and told them that this Jell-O tastes weird. Didn't throw up, but they were definitely worried lol. They still talk about it sometimes. Took our 4YO triplets to one of those generic type places you know. The one with the south of the border flavor. I won't say which one, but I want my baby back. Ordered food. Drinks for the kids, drinks, margaritas, house, with a straw, for the adults. Wife and I are chatting. Kids are behaving. They always did in restaurants, one of Daddy's strict rules. All in all, a pleasant time with the fam. Then I notice the one kid sitting with Mom, on her lap as he was getting kinda squirmy, is quite flushed and glassy-eyed. While we were chatting away, a couple we knew sat one booth over, and generally enjoying ourselves. My son JP had polished off Mommy's very tasty margarita. Yep, parents of the year. Mommy, I love your hot chocolate. It was a double-shot espresso with chocolate syrup. I've never seen a toddler talk so fast or have so many ideas and fun things to do. For my first birthday, as is tradition in my family for some reason, I was let loose on my entire birthday cake. Guess it's funny to watch a kid freak out about getting an entire cake and watch them just absolutely destroy it in the process. Later that night I dyed my parents' bed beautiful light frosting blue. Today I fucked up by cheating with my best friend. Obligatory. This didn't happen today. I, 18 male at the time, was a freshman in uni and was best friends with a girl, 18 female. Let's call her Emma. Emma and I were in all the same classes and we sat next to each other. We lived nearby and walked to class together. We were basically inseparable. I had a bit of a crush on Emma, which I had told her about and thought she didn't reciprocate since she got a boyfriend shortly after I admitted my feelings. She was a very physically affectionate person and would hold onto my arm whenever we walked together. However, a couple of months into her relationship, I was around her place helping her with an assignment, and we hooked up. This happened again later that same week. This time she invited herself to my place with the express purpose of hooking up. At the end of the week the Christmas holidays started, so we didn't see each other for months. She had her boyfriend to stay during the holidays, and basically told me what happened was a mistake and asked me to keep it a secret. I kept the secret for a couple of months, and felt like a real piece of shit the entire time. Eventually I had had enough. I texted her and said that we needed to tell him. Eventually, after some arguing back and forth, I said, "If you don't tell him, I will," to which she freaked the fuck out at. What I didn't know was she was staying around her boyfriend's flat at the time, and he walked in and found her crying. At that point she admitted the whole thing to him. She told me all this through text after, blamed me for the whole thing and then blocked me and never spoke to me again. They stayed together for about a year or so after this happened, until she found a new guy. Safe to say I learned my lesson about ever getting involved with others' relationships. Too long did not read. My best friend cheated on her boyfriend with me, lied to him about it and then blocked me when I wanted to tell him the truth. Edit. To all the people commenting insults, don't. You don't know me, I don't know you, so please don't pretend like you do from a Reddit post. So, freshman year, you meet a girl and are hanging out as friends. She meets someone she starts dating and you two hook up a couple of times. Then, you threaten to tell him around Christmas? That is a lot of teenage drama for a span of a couple of months. If she cheated on him, it's only a matter of time before she cheats on you. You can't trust her anymore. You're better off. The outcome is probably best for everyone. Just take the lesson op. One thing I wish I learned when I was younger is that when someone cheats with you, it's because of them, not you. That is to say, there is nothing special about you that would make girls cheat on their boyfriends but not you. If you had got with this girl, she would have cheated on you too in a few months as soon as she got bored. As someone who has been through something similar, have you actually asked yourself whether you made her tell him out of jealousy? I mean, she had you, used you, then went back to him. That shit sucks. But you probably thought if he found out, you may get her as she'll become available. Both assholes. I feel bad for the BF. I'm glad you learned your lesson, but I hope she learned hers at some point too. Growing up and making mistakes can really suck. Whether you wanted to force the secret out to clear your own conscience or to harm her relationship, either way your motives weren't altruistic, and trying to frame the story like you were trying to be the good guy is super cringe. Edit. Since some of you appear to lack reading comprehension, Op jumped in bed with a friend who was in a relationship, kept it a secret for months, then threatened that same friend with an ultimatum about a relationship he helped damage in the first place, and has framed the story to make it look like he's the victim who was just trying to do the right thing. Why is this so hard to understand? If I were the one getting cheated on, I would want to know, regardless if it was from my girlfriend or the person she is hooking up with. I have no remorse for cheaters, and you're wasting the person's time. This guy did the right thing in my opinion. He's definitely no hero, but at least the truth got out to the one guy getting cheated on sooner so he can make a choice. Today I fucked up by giving my waitress a condom in error. Me and my girlfriend have started using protection after a recent scare and my girlfriend having adverse side effects to the pill. For safe measure, I keep one in my wallet just in case. Anyway, we were having a meal last night and all was going well. I could tell the waitress was having a shitty night and she was doing such a good job with us as she had some really awkward customers. One guy was really shouting at her because he didn't enjoy his food, hardly her fault. We sort of got chatting a bit and she admitted that she wasn't having a great night and I could tell she was upset. Anyway, the rest of the meal went really well and we saw she had just about enough towards the end and she was so stressed. So me and my girlfriend decided that we would give a generous tip. So we decided to give her like £50 cash, but it was all in tens and the rubber Johnny was wedged in between unbeknown to me. She came back at kind of an awkward time and I get a bit nervous when handing over cash, so was fumbling a bit when she came back. I just said, "You've been great tonight and I hope this relieves some of the stress and I don't want you to split this." Meaning with the other staff, so I gave it straight to her, winked and handed the loaded 50 over. As I put it in her hand she thanked me and went to put it in her belt thing. I went to put my jacket on and she tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Thanks, but this isn't the kind of tip I was expecting and don't worry, I won't be splitting it." Hindsight made me realize how terrible choice of words were. I closed my eyes and realized what had happened. I turned to see her holding the Connie. I was absolutely mortified. I apologized profusely and she was really laughing, saying she knew what had happened and it was a mistake. I think she was about as embarrassed as me. Anyway, I won't be returning. Far too awkward. Too long, did not read. Gave the waitress a condom when I went to give her a tip. She laughed. I laughed. Then died. LPT, don't keep condoms in your wallet. Man, I kinda had a story like this too. Back in my college days we'd have date nights at our fraternity house. Basically invite 2 dates to the event and work your hardest to get laid right. So I'm pre-gaming with the 2 girls and had an Uber pick us up once we were ready to leave. Once we get to the venue I opened up my wallet to pay, sitting in the middle of these 2 girls, and a condom falls out of my wallet to the floor of the backseat and all 3 of us stare. All I could manage to say was, "So which one of you lucky ladies will be seeing this again tonight?" trying to joke it off. I did not get laid that night. You did fuck up by winking. That's weird and unnecessary when you're giving somebody a tip, LMAO. Dude. Not only were you kind enough to give her a generous tip, but you left her a memory she'll be laughing over for years. It's a win-win. Anyway, I won't be returning. Why? She said she understood, it was no big deal, just a slight mishap. A reservoir tip. Too long, did not read. Gave the waitress a condom when I went to give her a tip. Hashtag gave her more than just the tip. At least you made her night. Today I fucked up by guessing my teacher's password. Obligatory, this didn't happen today. I was 16 years old and the first hour of school that day was French class. I sat at front of the class, right in front of the teacher's desk. The teacher, Miss M, had to fetch something and would be back in a few minutes. She left her PC on and it was connected to the big screen. She hadn't logged in. Miss M had filled in her username but not her password yet. The moment she left I had this bright idea. I immediately approached her PC and started to guess her password. My first try was, French in Dutch language. That didn't work. I immediately tried a second time. This time I typed in Francais, French in French language. I was baffled to see that the PC logged in. I directly shut it down and went back to my chair. After a short while she came back and started her class. Miss M didn't suspect a thing. Later that afternoon I went home with 2 friends and we were discussing what happened and were laughing at her simple password. One of my friends suggested to see if she had the same password in other school software and mailing services. We were curious to see if I could change grades in the Magistrate software, where grades are registered by teachers and viewed by students. I went to the Magistrate and tried the same credentials and password. We got in straight away. Of course, I didn't change a single grade because I was too scared of getting caught. In the days following, my friends and I got together after school to see how much we could actually access without changing anything, so that we would not be caught. Turns out that we could see emails where teachers discussed personal issues of students, and also personal files of everyone, where some of the most private details of students were stored. We were kids, so of course we were too curious and went looking for the files of our classmates. Saw some disturbing stuff, with people's parents having problem with authorities and stuff. But we continued to see the files of random schoolmates. Until we came across a horrible story of a classmate we knew very well and even sometimes gamed with. It was a story about this classmate's little brother that went full-blown psycho, explained in detail. The little brother had also asked to be punished while strapping himself to a bench, naked, with leather belts next to him for the physical punishment. Every disturbing detail was in that personal file. I immediately logged out after that, and my friends and I promised never to speak about this and never to log in the school system again with our teacher's account. We never gamed again with that classmate because we were too ashamed, I guess, and that was that. At least, I thought so. Around 6 months passed and I had not thought about this ordeal for a while. Until a higher up from the principal's office came into my class and took me to the school director. The 3 highest bosses of our school asked me to take a seat in front of them, in a room that they had specifically prepared for interrogation. They even had a lamp on the desk pointed at me, as if they were in an interrogation scene in an old school detective movie. They had heard that I had hacked our teacher and demanded that I told them everything. Of course, I did not tell them a thing, except that I had only guessed the password but haven't done anything with the teacher's account since that first lucky try in front of the whole class. They tried really hard to make me confess more, literally screamed in my face for a while, told me they didn't buy my story. After a good 3 hours of interrogation and being made out for thief, criminal and more, they let me go back to class. I was silent, so no confession, and they had no evidence at all to back it up. That afternoon I got the message that I had been suspended for the coming week, and that they wanted to kick me off the school but couldn't do that without evidence. Weirdly, a classmate of me who had nothing to do with this situation was also suspended for a day because of the hack. They were convinced that he was involved, but that definitely was not the case. I went by the principal's office to tell him exactly that, but of course the teachers did not believe it and thought that I was trying to cover for him. I suspect this poor guy heard of the story of me guessing a password and he told this to a student who in his turn told the teachers. Because of this, I lost a scholarship in Germany that I was already accepted for, and the rest of my high school career was a living hell. Because every teacher tried to get back to me by, for instance, forbidding me to sit next to other students in classes. Every class with participation grades I got the lowest grade possible, and at any opportunity teachers gave me detention or punishments like, clean all the garbage on the schoolyard every day after school for the rest of the month. My German teacher was even more pissed. Not only gave me the lowest grades possible for things like oral exams, but he also counted good answers and tests wrong and tried to find reasons to send me out of class almost every time. My grades dropped drastically and I almost couldn't finish high school because of this. Fortunately, I eventually graduated from high school, but with the absolute lowest grades possible to graduate. I had failed 3 classes because of participation grades, maximum that is allowed to fail, and got very low grades for classes that I was normally acing. The teachers were not happy at all and even told me with the diploma handouts that I did not deserve this graduation, and one of them literally warned that I would fail in life because of a bad attitude. Fortunately, they were wrong about that. TLDR accidentally guessed my teacher's easy password, got suspended for a week, and it made the rest of high school living hell for me. Retired school IT here. The reason they came down on you like a ton of bricks was because they, teacher, admin, fucked up, not you. I can't tell you how many kids got sacrificed to cover someone's stupidity. I wonder how many kids would have gone on to do great things if their teachers would have gotten out of the way. Good on you to succeed in spite of them. Seems like kind of an extreme response to your bad decisions. Don't leave us hanging. How did your life turn out? Did you go straight into a career after school, college? The teacher's behavior was totally unacceptable, and who chooses such an easy password? Please tell us more. Man. The behavior of those teachers is absolutely unacceptable. Especially that idiot French teacher who doesn't know how to choose a good password. Where were your parents during all this? Didn't you talk about this with your parents? I'd raise hell if they'd pull that shit with my son. Damn. Also, Dutch, Belgium or the Netherlands? I'm from Belgium. Fucking scum. I feel bad for you op. The school staff took this too far. You were a kid. Kids do dumb things, within reason. But you didn't change anything, and even though you went snooping through PPL's personal files, you didn't make it public knowledge. I can get them interrogating you, but everything that came after was harsh. They should all be fired. I had a similar experience in my high school, though it was when I caught a teacher doing something highly illegal. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.